We're going to be talking today about natural gas marketplaces. Natural gas is something that everybody knows about. It's in your kitchens, it warms your water, and it's been on your stove since the 1880s. So the question here is, why is natural gas quickly becoming the next hot topic in global fossil fuel commodities? The answer is LNG. LNG stands for liquefied natural gas. Liquefaction is a process by which natural gas is cooled to negative 260 degrees. At that temperature, it becomes a liquid and can be put on ships like this one. This ship is the size of the Empire State Building. These boats then turn natural gas into a commodity that can be sent anywhere around the world. If you have gas and you can liquefy it, you can send it to somebody that needs it. And so this is something that's directly relevant to our region. Right offshore from here is the proposed Port Ambrose facility, which is an LNG facility for the middle of the New York-New Jersey Bight. This facility, according to the application, would bring up to 45 of these LNG vessels into our coastal zone each year. This $400 million facility begs a question. Why are we seeing billions of dollars invested in new global fossil fuel technology? This is something that we're seeing across the country's coastline. And here in New Jersey, as we heard all day, we're in the middle of an area hit by 2 storms in the last 2 years. Why are we putting new fossil fuel infrastructure here? All along the coast, as we heard, sea levels are rising. So why are we investing tens of billions of dollars in new fossil fuel infrastructure, the fuel of the past? And more importantly, what does that mean for us? To answer this question, I want to step back and examine natural gas in a little bit more detail. Right now, there are pipelines crisscrossing the country from Seattle to Miami, bringing natural gas from where it's produced, like the Gulf region and Texas shale deposits, all the way to where it's consumed, to industrial centers, city gates, and your homes. In 2007, we needed more natural gas than we produced domestically, so energy companies built pipelines and LNG import facilities to bring in about 16% of our natural gas use. LNG imports in 2007 made up about 3% of what we used in this country. Then happened the shale gas revolution. Made possible by fracking, shale gas, which is the amount of shale gas we're producing in this country and projected to produce in this country, is represented by the black lines here, is something that transformed the supply balance of natural gas in this country. So that led, between 2007 and 2012, to a dramatic reduction in what we needed to bring in. Instead of needing 3% of our use to come from LNG, it went down to 1%, and it's expected to go down farther. Pipeline imports went down. We were producing more in this country. What that led to, however, is a partial answer to our first question. We aren't seeing billions of dollars invested into this fuel of the past because we need more imports. We're seeing a price change happen across the United States' marketplace. This satellite image at night isn't of a third city that you never knew existed in North Dakota. This is a picture of the Bakken oil fields, where between May of last year and May of this year, energy companies burned off $1 billion worth of natural gas instead of capturing it. 30% of all natural gas that came out of the ground was flared instead of captured because the price of gas is so low, it's not worth building pipelines. It's not worth capturing that gas and bringing it to market. What this results in is the crux of the argument today, and that is that in the United States, prices are so low, in fact, that sometimes frackers aren't even putting in new well operations because it just doesn't make any money sense. However, across the rest of the world, we're seeing that natural gas prices are high and getting higher. And so we are competing in a global marketplace now of natural gas where you can get 3 times more money from your natural gas selling into the United Kingdom or 5 times more in South Korea than you are for your price point in the United States. To take advantage of this deficiency in prices, or room for profits, if you're from the industry side, countries around the world are expanding their export capacity. Countries like Yemen and Australia and even the United States now, as I'll get to in a minute, are jumping on the bandwagon to start sending their natural gas overseas. What we've seen over the last decade in the United States is that LNG import prices and wellhead prices, where your gas is coming from, and your industrial prices for natural gas, they've all tracked really well together. Energy exports from the United States, however, have been steeply climbing, such that in 2012, for the first time ever, energy companies got a higher price selling their natural gas overseas from the United States than they did selling to residential homeowners, traditionally the highest paying customer of natural gas. So obviously the answer to the first question is that we're building all this new technology, we're building all these new infrastructure and pipelines and ports for liquefaction because we want to export natural gas. This on the ground is manifested over the last 3 years pretty starkly. First, in 2010, we had one LNG proposed export facility. In 2013, that one was under construction, 13 more were under review, and another 8 are in the pipeline behind that. So how does this affect us locally? I'll bring you back to this chart right here. This chart showing natural gas prices. And what we see here is that our natural gas export prices, this red line, they're not pulling up the rest of the market. They're not having that price point effect that people that study economics will say is something that when there's competition, it affects each other. The reason it's not affecting the rest of the market right now is because it's really low volume. This red line only represents a few shipments every year, a drop in the bucket of our natural gas infrastructure. However, under the Natural Gas Act, exports are going to get huge. We're on the cusp of seeing a dramatic increase in the quantity sent overseas, which, given the fact that you can get 5 times more for your natural gas overseas than here in the United States, is going to have a dramatic impact on our way of life. Under the Natural Gas Act, applications to send natural gas as LNG to nations with which we have a free trade agreement cost $50 and have to be approved without modification or delay. That's $50 and a rubber stamp, and you're allowed to export natural gas overseas. Next year, almost 70 billion cubic feet per day are expected to be produced in this country. Under the Natural Gas Act and those without modification or delay approvals, we've already approved 30 BCF per day, 30 billion cubic feet per day of natural gas exports, meaning that already on the books is the approval for almost half of our daily American, US, nationwide domestic production of natural gas to be exported. Almost half of it, half of everything that comes out of the ground is already authorized to be sent overseas. Let me reiterate, once those facilities come online, the one that's under construction, the 3 that are under review right now, the companies that own those facilities and the companies that own the gas supplies in this country, because it's not you or I, they are already authorized to send this overseas. Of that 30 billion cubic feet per day, about a third of that is allowed to go to any country, whether you've got a free trade agreement with us or not. And the Department of Energy, the new energy secretary, just said a few weeks ago that they don't see any hang-ups with this, and they're going to be doing this and improving any of those exports into the future. So how does this affect us? How does this increase in quantity affect us? For that, we turn to Australia. Australia's had exports for several years now. They're about 5 years ahead of the game, ahead of the United States, and they're anticipating another $160 billion of investment in LNG export over the next few years. What that's projected to do is further increase homeowner utility bills by another $500 million, to increase wholesale natural gas prices by 80%, and across all industries in Australia, increase industrial prices by $3.2 billion. They've already seen, because of exports in Australia, something like a $1,200 increase in the price of homes in Perth, Australia, because bricks are more expensive because you need natural gas to make bricks. So house prices are going up. This is going to affect all of our economy. So, to go back to my first 2 questions, why are we seeing billions of dollars invested in natural gas, the technology of the past? This isn't even production investment. This is trade and commodity investment. Obviously, it's because of LNG exports. We've already approved, it's so easy, we've already approved almost half of our daily natural gas production to be sent overseas. How is this going to affect us locally? Higher prices. The Australian example. People in Melbourne are paying $200 more per year in natural gas with exports. More production. Without this barrier, without this floodgate, without this seawall, all of these exports are going to trigger more fracking, more production, because the energy companies that own those back-end oil fields aren't going to want to waste $1 billion by burning it, because they can make $5 billion sending it overseas. And finally, it's going to increase our ocean industrialization. With all of these natural gas deposits being found in shale formations like near here, there's going to be a push to put facilities like Port Ambrose right next to them, where it's going to be easier and cheaper to get that natural gas for exports. So in sum, it's up to us to ask ourselves whether you think that investing $160 billion in Australian natural gas exports is a good thing, or whether we should be investing $160 billion in conservation, efficiency, and renewables. Whether a $500 million LNG port off the Jersey Shore in the path of the future hurricane network of the Atlantic Ocean is a good idea or a bad idea. Or whether we should be bringing industries like fossil fuels back into our clean ocean zone where we fought for decades to get them out. If you want to answer those questions and see who you can ask and how to find out more, please go to cleanoceanaction.org. Thank you.